off here any second now. Thank you, Clockwork. I appreciate that. Never mind. Mobby, you're off the desk. Clockwork is on for the rest of the split.
Okay,
Tragedy. Massive downgrade.
So this is sort of a response to what I was about to say. A slate of locks in that first pick Jinx. I was going to say maybe the look is to try and get wave priority. So this could actually... Oh no, they banned Desire, so never mind. But looking for something that can try and match the Jinx in terms of wave shove, wave pressure. They're not going to do that, so never mind me. Xin is going to be locked. Is going to have to... Style is going to be locked onto tower, and if they choose to, that might choose to put the pressure into the bot lane like they did like this in the last game. Xin is not going to be able to leave and have as much impact on the map as he did in that first game. So that's it might just be that run back.
See, this is why we say that Ren is based. He listens to our advice, while Hankei bans the Saya, not based. Now SBTC goes again. The Gragas worked very well. DNK actually proved very aggressive and not as shy as the Sejuani, so good thing that they picked it again. Now they have the options to go for a support or probably pick some Lissandra that's still open, and that's a comfort also for DO1, but the Tristana, like, he's that not scared.
Alright. Yeah, I was gonna say you could probably lock the Braum and put the Braum in here, and maybe you don't quite get that you might not get the Tristana matchup, but it still provides that sort of anti-Lissandra synergy. But now they've pivoted entirely to giving Kiaya the champion he wants. And if Npool wants to, it's not necessarily his style, but he could take the Gragas up to the top lane and just deny Kiaya. Just play Gragas into Jackson, just render Kiaya very impotent in this early laning phase. And now the support bans are going to come in. Renata, presumably a Braum, will follow. And now, hey, ban Lissandra. they have first pick in the next phase, so just ban Lissandra now.
It's a very glaring ban Lissandra sign, neon sign. Yeah, okay.
Banning Syndra also good. That's fine.
Maybe they see this as a positive matchup for the Trist, and so they don't care about Lissandra. And maybe GAM thinks the same way, because it feels like they could have maybe picked Lissandra already in that spot that the Jax was in. I don't know. Maybe that's the idea. Maybe GAM is a little bit more weary of taking that champion now that they've seen what the Braum, and now that the Braum's banned, you have a bit more opening for it. But also what the Tristana did in the laning phase.
Let's also remember that Lulu here is open, and it's a bit risky in the like alongside the Nautilus. So it's a bit tough now to pick a good support champion for Palette. He will probably need to go a bit deeper in his champion pool. We know he played also other stuff like the Annie, like the Blitzcrank, the risky stuff. Sejuani gets picked for Levi now, not a carry for the star player on GAM. Goes a bit on the safer, on the supportive side. I think this is a fine choice, and now they want to keep the counter pick actually. Well, they could have counter picked already, so I'm a bit confused by this Sejuani pick here.
Yeah, there's still flexibility, I guess, in they could have potentially put top lane Tristana, which would have been a little bit weird into the Jax, but
right, Sejuani could be mid lane. It would Omega suck into the Tristana, but it could be mid lane.
Could be AP Sedge top with a Jax jungle.
Yeah, as it is, I think we're pretty much expecting them to go in their normal positions, and then maybe you're just looking to make sure there's nothing that'll make the life of something, say, a Vega, extremely difficult. You just want to make sure that maybe a safer mid lane play is going to come, a more risky mid lane pick is going to come through, and just don't want to make sure it doesn't find itself facing a Nautilus, a Blitzcrank or some kind of champion that'll completely throw it out of position. Victor's kind of that, so yeah. Wanted to just make sure it was a little bit safer, didn't have anything flying at it that would ruin his day.
Okay, I mean, if they're going to pick a mage that's that far range and scales that hard, why not just go for it and pick a hard siege mage, right? Like, if you're going to get put out of position, like, you're going to die anyway as the Victor, then like why not pick something that's gonna punish the Jinx and the Tristana from well outside their range, like Vel'Koz or Xerath? Why go for the Victor in this case?
No one can play Vel'Koz.
No one can play those champions.
Kati, right?
Nobody can play.
Kati, right?
I mean, he could have
Anyway.
played Nivea, but like, I don't know.
Anyway, here we've predicted GAM so far, but I think this game I'm gonna go SBTC. They're Tristana and Jinx. They work. They have quite good range mid to late game, and with the Lulu, with the Cassandra, with the Gragas, how is GAM going to target them? The Sejuani is not gonna reach them. The Jax is going to have a hell of a hard time to get on top of the Tristana and the Jinx. So team fights are very tricky to play for GAM here.
I think this is a much more sort of a pretty standardized composition for GAM, but with the way they've been playing it out, it's going to take a lot of lifting from Kati, in the damage department, but Victor has not been great so far. So I'm leaning SBTC, but it's a close one.
The
double marksmen have won every game, so.
Yeah. Double analyst prediction for SBTC. Let's jump into game 3 as Carrix and Yulwei are on the other side waiting to receive.
We are waiting to receive, and receive we will, as SBTC getting some stocks from the desk your way. How do we feel about that one? Predicting against the big dogs of GAM.
Well, we just saw them win a game on Jinx and Tristana, so
I definitely saw GAM lose a game.
That is true too, yeah. But I can definitely see why you would be willing and maybe even would tend to go with the Tristana Jinx again, because of course they just did it. But don't you forget who's on the other side, okay? We are still talking about GAM, and we're not just talking about the organization GAM, we are talking about an era of dominance from these players that is almost unprecedented, because the Kiaya Levi era has been absolutely incredible. Tier 1 might die
Tier
though.
1 in some trouble there. Ooh, good flash to avoid the follow-up auto from Zin.
Can you please stop interrupting my beautiful point, GAM? Please stop with the early plays. Okay, let's go again. Let's bring up the graphic. Finally. There we are. Beautiful. The Levi Kiaya era, of course, ever since 2019 summer when Levi came back to the league. This are their stats. They have 4 titles, which is not actually all of the splits. They lost 3 of the titles they could have gotten, but they went to all 7 finals. Their game record, this is of course in best of 5s, 43-20, so more than 67% game win rate in best of 5s, and 11-4 in best of 5s. And by the way, every single loss on that list, all 4 losses, was a 5-game series. They have never lost in less than 5 games in those ever since 2019 summer. So this era of the top side of GAM with Kiaya, with Levi, and then later also adding Kati and Style to the mix has been absolutely incredible. We can't count them out at any point. And even if they lose this game to another Tristana Jinx, I think you almost have to gamble on them getting to game number 5, because that's just what they do. That's just Levi and Kiaya.
Yeah, and I mean, look, GAM have honestly played some of the most exciting 5-game series I've ever watched in general League of Legends. I still, to this day, mourn the fact that the Flash and GAM era has ended. It's so tragic that, Flash no longer what they once were, because I do think that was one of the most exciting rivalries we've had. But speaking of rivalries, and that's what I wanted to get onto, it is these 2 teams. If you ask the Vietnamese community in particular, these 2 teams have a storied rivalry. You have Dia1, used to be a part of GAM. A lot of those games that we were just talking about, Dia1 was the mid laner in that situation for GAM.
Yeah, not just that. Think about the rivalry you just talked about, the Flash against GAM rivalry, right? Who was in the bot lane? It was Zin on GAM's side against Slater, Palette, and then Palette, of course, was first on GAM and then on Flash, so it's extra spicy on that side. So it's still the same. It's still Slater against GAM. It's Dia1 against Kati. Okay, they swapped teams, but it's still Dia1 against Kati. And then some new blood and Enper, of course, trickled in, and of course also Style, now the new ADC. So essentially, we're still in the same kind of rivalry as Dia1 sees Kati has no mana and is laughing at his face because, of course, Victor with no mana doesn't really do all that much.
It's very true. But yeah, these two teams are these players, I should say, SBTC as a team perhaps doesn't have as much of a legacy yet, but these players have so much history between each other, and it's fantastic to see them matching up again in the playoffs. And honestly, you couldn't script a better winners final. Kiaya in some trouble. DNK joining the play, but he gets away.
Oh, Kiaya jumps away, and now the
Hang
counter
on a
by Kiaya
minute.
though. I don't think they
It's
want
all right.
Yes.
He gets out of there with the belly bop, so they burn Kiaya's flash, traded for DNK's.
I think GAM was actually overplaying their cards there and finally disengaged from Levi, who was kind of banking on the fact that DNK would not chase him, because if DNK had tried to go for an aggressive play there, I think they would have lost, but in the end, nothing really comes of it. The flash is blown from Kiaya for flash on DNK, so top lane, maybe a return gang could be possible. The problem is, Kiaya is a pretty hard target to kill, especially with K'Sante. It's not a great matchup for the K'Sante, especially in the nerfed version, into the Jax, so Kiaya should still be alright in this lane. Of course, losing flash this early is never good, but it's still a Jax. He has a Q, he kind of has the supplement flash anyway, so the first gank doesn't really land from SBTC in game number 3.
It doesn't, but still, K'Sante made safer by Jax not having a flash. Hard to set up a Sejuani gank now. It is so easy to W. If it's just the Sejuani CC, that's very easy for K'Sante to W. Flash Counter-Strike less so. There's Dia1 and Cardi just trading back and forth. The ultimate's actually dumped out. Just trying to get lane control so he can shove this in.
Dia1 is really struggling in this matchup as Carti had the counter pick. Now, really good ward once again from the side of GAM to prevent anything funky. So Carti can just walk back, has full control of this lane, and DNK even has to stay to eliminate some of the minions, which will take away a lot of experience from Dia1, who's still level 5. He is really severely down in experience now compared to Carti, who already dropped the ultimate on his head like half a minute ago. So Carti with a great early game to kind of just put Dia1 in the dumpster in early laning phase.
That he is, as Levi just poking around in the jungle. This is going to be GAM rotating down, using that experience lead, using the priority they have to try and go for Dragon. Dia1 hopping forward, he burnt his flash. I don't think he was ever killing Carti there.
It definitely does not look like he was even close. Look at Carti's HP, still comfortably over half. So Dia1 is either he's very unfamiliar with the matchup or just desperate because it's not supposed to go like this. But yeah, Dia1 struggling very, very hard for the first time.
I actually think I know what happened, but it really doesn't reflect very well on SBTC. But we'll just see if anything plays out here as Levi moves in. Bit of a biff over the Scuttle Crab. Nothing should happen. DNK was in range for a flash E. I think Dia1 made the call go, expecting a flash E, but of course he didn't have it. The flash was burnt top lane. I just think it was miscommunicated. All out over the wall. I are in trouble, but in comes the team.
No!
And it's going to be a kill given over to Levi. DNK should be able to get back to tower, but oh no, it's gone wrong.
Oh, and SBTC is just kind of outplaying themselves in these instances where they wanted to go, they wanted to be the aggressors this time, they wanted to be assertive, they wanted to be the ones making the plays, but it's all going wrong, unfortunately. Yes, Slade and Palette are dominating the laning phase, which they should, they have Lulu. So that is going alright for them, but the top side letting SBTC down early and first blood over to Levi.
So this starts out well for Enpa. He gets a really good all-out through the wall, nullifying the counter-strike as well.
So he does deal a decent amount of damage, but then Levi finds the perfect angle for his own ultimate and just shuts down the crazy all-out shenanigans for the side of Enpa, because Enpa could have just danced around back and forth in that fight and gotten a lot of that weird K'Sante all-in stuff out of there, but he just dies instantly to Levi's CC. Very, very nice collapse from the jungler of GAM. We just talked about the Kiaya Levi error, and they strike first in game number 3. And here they go again.
They're going to have another crack. They deny the eye, so the Herald will not be able to be picked up. SBTC, that's not what you wanted. They needed to actually get that Herald to get themselves righted back in this game. Dia1, again, being harassed. He just dumps the Chaos Storm on him, says you can't step up to the tower. Carti being an absolute bully.
But also beautiful rotation from the GAM bot lane to instantly walk into mid lane and get one plating for free, as Jinx is still pushing down in the bot lane, so she can't respond with a plating of her own. GAM just showing their very, very smart map rotations earlier than usual in this game. Usually they come alive at like minute 15 to 20 when they rotate through the lanes and try to set up their side lane advantages, but it's starting early this time around. At GAM, they just equalize the gold once again. First Herald is not going to do anything. And this mid lane matchup, I feel like SBTC really wants to get out of here because it's not going their way. DO1 is still down in experience. They actually made it worse for him by ganking his lane in terms of experience. And yeah, you can see he's just getting hit from afar. He can't respond ever to Kati. It's way too risky to jump in at this point. So he's just playing a very, very sad Tristana mid lane game. Look at the enemy tower. If you play Tristana mid lane, the enemy tower is full HP at 10 minutes, you know you effed up.
Disaster. Yep. Something has gone terribly wrong if Tristana has not been allowed to touch the tower. Dia1 as well, he is the Tristana mid enjoyer. This has been a champion he has always played. It has not really mattered what the meta is. Oh, speaking of the enjoyer, oh, DNK, you hero!
Okay, he actually gets it back. Oh, Levi, no!
Levi thought about going back in. He's in some trouble. Paulette is here. Dia1 dancing around him, auto-attacking over the wall. And the rocket from Slater!
Okay, GAM, something has happened to GAM. Their brains are scrambled. They need the 20-minute reset after this game because it looks like they are actually nervous. These plays scream nervousness, scream jittery nerves, whatever to me, because this is not usual GAM. You saw them in game 1 play such a clean style of game. But look at that
absolute hero
save from DNK. Wow. His Gragas, the last 2 games has looked so clean. Maybe they actually need to do something about DNK's Gragas now after watching these 2 games. And Levi, once again, a bit too aggressive, relying too much on his outplays that happen 80% of the time, maybe even 90% of the time. But not today, not in these past 2 games. At SBTC, at least the momentum is in their favor, even though the game's still even and it doesn't even look like a big advantage for them anywhere. But it must feel good, especially for players like DNK.
It is looking... I mean, this is such a strange game, Yue. Because we've got all of these things that we can criticize for SBTC, these things that are going wrong, but then they just put in these heroic plays that are able to get them back into things. DNK, he's around the dragon, but now that GAM is flashing over the wall, they're throwing the Sejuani ult. Party Barrel's not going to do a whole lot. That is so much CC, and they will take down DNK. Now the bot lane is able to reinforce. Slater whipping rockets in from the Paulette. Best hilly int I've ever seen as he moves in. Wild grows himself. The kill comes in. That does get Slater excited. Rockets uppering in. Dia1 goes down, but it's all on Slater. He's flashing over the wall. There we go. He's got in. He picked them up. Triple kill for Slater. The big dog is barking.
Here we go. That's the Jinx we wanted to see last game. Slater finally stepping up in the team fights, and that's Reset City. What an absolutely crazy fight. Keep your eyes on the Lulu. That has to be the most aggressive Lulu play that actually works out I've ever seen in my life. Palat just... he walked away with this team fight, honestly. I mean, Slater had amazing positioning too. Look at him flash onto them. Okay, the ult might have even been a bit too early, but then Dia1 and Slater with all their range have such amazing position. Dia1 decides to go back in. They have to focus on him. And meanwhile, Slater with Red Buff, with Kraken Slayer, accelerated. His attack speed is probably at something like 2. This early in the game, he just deals too much damage, and they win the team fight. 4.2k damage at 10 minutes. He had 1 item.
And one thing I absolutely loved seeing from SBTC here, both Paulette and Dia1 did it. They both knew they die from their play. Style could be into trouble. They deny the E. Style's going to go down. Dia1 hopping forward takes him out. But what I wanted to say was we saw in that fight, Paulette, when he starts the play with that wild growth, yeah, okay, it's crazy. But he knows he's going to die, but he knows it's going to get Slater a reset. And that's all that matters. Dia1, same thing. He jumps over that raptor wall. He's dead. He's 100% dead, but it gets the reset.
And I think
They know that's what matters.
you can really see the reset in the mental after the last game, because think back to game 1, just 2 hours ago at this point, they did nothing. They just rolled over and died. They tried a few engages, but it never worked out, and then they just resigned themselves to counterscale, which never worked. The game was over after 10 minutes because you could already see GAM would outscale them easily. They just played the most comfortable late game scaling team anyone has ever seen, and SBTC never did anything. I was worried at that point that SBTC would just play like that for the rest of the series and just slowly die in every game, and we would sit here for a snoozer. But instead, they've activated their playmaking potential. DNK and Dia 1 together on this Tristana and Gragas combo are just making stuff happen. Okay, not all of it is good. Some of the plays are ints. Remember last game where they tried to dive bot lane tower and it was ugly? They made it work. But it's still, they are making stuff happen on the map. They're challenging GAM, and they're winning the fights in game number 3.
Speaking of GAM, they will be the ones to pick up the second Rift Herald. The first, of course, the eye was denied, so it didn't actually do anything. They are able to get the second one. Are they just going to take it straight to the top lane? No, it looks like Levi won't be doing that. It wouldn't really be worth it in this matchup. Nice stuff there from Emperor. Force Ki to take a tower shot. And Yulwei, we can basically say that after the first 2 games, we're just playing a best of 3. And if this is how the best of 3 is going to get played out, I think we're in for a treat.
Hopefully. I mean, yeah, this game is much more exciting than the first one already. And game number 2 was a banger with a lot of plays and misplays. But game number 3, I think, is even higher quality when you look at what happened early on, when Dia 1 was completely lost in the matchup and seemed to lose every single trade, and then he just transitioned into some plays on the side lane. Now they just keep him in bot lane, which is so much more uncomfortable to play from the Victor side of things compared to the Tristana, because long lane makes it kind of easy to collapse on him. And Jinx likes to be sitting in mid lane, be safe, and just rely on her jungler and a support to set her up. So good read from SBTC, good readjustment after the early struggles in the laning phase, and they are now looking at almost 3k gold advantage, and their Jinx is actually building useful items this time around. So the next team fight should be a really, really strong point. And who's that?
And look at this, Dia 1 starting the play, knocking Cardi into the team and taking a kill.
Yeah, look at that. Victor hates being in bot lane. It's bad. He does not want to be there.
I want to make a bit of a read your way. It's Carrix and his intangibles once again. I think Ren has done something incredible here, because look at this team's mentality. He's gotten the belt out. They won last game, but I think the belt still came out, and he said, you didn't deserve that last game. They lost. You didn't win. Get in there and go down swinging, because Slater goes from being 5-1, but still building double defensive items, to just going, no, I'm going to flash over a wall to make a play, and I'm going to build correctly. You have Dia 1 making the suicide plays to set him up, getting solo kills onto the opposing mid laner. This is night and day for SE, and I love it.
Yeah, and it's so risky too. You have to think about how much how much pluck it needs to actually go for this, because after game 1, we looked at their composition. At the composition, GAM drafted Lissandra, Zeri, Nautilus, Rakan in game 1, and we thought, oh, what have they done in their draft? What is the coach doing, right? And we both love Ren, and Ren actually won a best of 5 last year against GAM as one of the very few coaches actually to do so. But it was mostly bot diff in that case, and we thought, oh wow, have they completely misread GAM's draft approach? Game number 2 comes in, GAM gets the most comfortable draft of all time, literally the 5 most played champions of all players, and we look at them and go, okay. That really does not look good for the SE read. But SE actually wins. They draft a composition that gives them agency. They know GAM is a slow team, so they want to be the one to decide where to fight, when to fight, which fights to take. And it works so well. And now we have to wonder, is the Zeri still good for Style? It has been his best champion all year, but it doesn't seem to be doing much in these games. And they're falling further and further behind. This Herald can be stopped if SE is here in time. And this might be yet another big fight.
The Herald is going to get its charge off, almost certainly. It does. Just, actually got kind of close. Kiaya casting to Counter-Strike away, because Slater, he is armed with a howitzer right now. This Jinx is so extremely strong. Carti, just poking around. He does have this crown. I'm not 100% sure I agree with that decision, but Regardless, for now, it keeps him safe from any engage. The dragon,
So
about 3.5k, not super important. In goes in, gets chunked out. DNK goes gold. Levi gets the smite. DNK stunned up, has Chaos Storm on his head. But GAM don't want any of this. Neither do SBTC. They will just back out. And we go to a Chemtech Rift.
Really, the first misplay from SBTC, or big macro misplay here, because they should never be in a position where they play this defensively around the dragon when they have such a strong Jinx. They have so many really strong champions at this breakpoint. Why do they let GAM walk away with the dragon there? Way too twitchy from DNK to insta-Zonias when he had 4 members of his team right behind him. He gets caught once again, but Xin might pay the price.
Xin trying to make something happen. He'll go down. DNK will follow him though. But Slater, he's spooled up. Look at this damage raining out from the Jinx. They can't find anything more, even with that lethal tempo stacked up. Slater even pressed the ghost. Really thought it might have been go time.
A little lost in the sauce here in the little passage of play from SBTC. They hand over almost for free the second dragon of the game to GAM, and they also kind of lose the fight, though Dia1 is now pushing down the top lane. So gold funneled into Dia1 for a little bit of counter gold funneled into Style, which is, I think, fine because your ADC is already ahead. So getting more gold onto your mid laner that's a bit behind the curve is actually probably beneficial for the side of SBTC. So in the end, it works out all right for them, but they should have been able to push more aggressively into the Dragon Pit because on these item breakpoints, that Jinx is unbeatable, especially with that much protection, that much peel behind her, right? You have the Lulu this time around. You're not going for an aggressive support. You actually have the tools to support and assist the Jinx. So I feel like they made a little bit of a blunder there. It's not too consequential though. So SBTC still have time to readjust and get into better position. It does take away one big win condition though, because now the Dragon Soul is way out of reach. So GAM can slow down the game again.
Win condition and Chemtech Soul don't necessarily go in the same sentence. So GAM perhaps getting a little bit unlucky with the Soul.
Tech W Soul? Yeah.
The Chemtech. But
I love the Chemtech.
I'm quite proud of that one. Anyway, getting back into the game, the man on your screen is the man to watch. It's Slater. 2 games in a row on the Jinx. 2 games in a row, he's had massive performances. But despite the kill score not being as impressive yet, I'd say this game is light years ahead of last.
Oh, he's playing so much more confidently. Last game, he was actually scared in all the team fights. He was 5-1, but actually putting out less damage than Style. So Slater in this game so much better and better set up by his team too. I think he had a little bit of interesting flash there for Slater. Safe now.
Dia1 getting out to safety. Cardi crown pop. Do they want to try and go in now that he's a little bit more vulnerable? Enpa on the side will find Kiaya. Counter-Strike keeps him safe though.
Risky.
On the other side, there's a big pull in. Enpa low. He has gone all out. Look at the damage raining in from Slater. No. 2 kills to come. Kiaya, again, the Counter-Strike getting so much value. Slater just unable to find the damage. Can't run through the gravity field. And so far, they're doing a good job keeping this Jinx away.
Absolutely amazing positioning in that team fight. When we have the replay, I'm gonna keep my eyes on GAM because that was some amazing back and forth for them. The way they conducted themselves in this team fight is so good because they never give a free target to Slater. Look at that. Now Xin is the target, but he kind of walks away. Dia1 tries to get the kill, does actually get the kill, but this doesn't do much for Slater. Slater has to hit Kiaya, who has his E, so that's no damage whatsoever. And then it's both tanks walking back and forth, so Slater can never get the execution. Really nice team fighting for GAM, and they are not out of this game yet. Yes, SBTC is in a winning position, but GAM can always strike back. We have seen so many games where their team fighting has just carried them through, especially this year, where their early games haven't been anything special. They're actually only, I think, number 3 or 4 on early game average, but their mid and late game, their team fighting, their target calling especially, is out of this world. And Carti and the Victor, we have seen it before.
I'm getting some flashbacks to series past because Kiaya is looking crisp. And you know that when Kiaya looks good, GAM are kind of unbeatable.
Yep, Kiaya era. We brought it up earlier in the game. The only top laner that has really consistently been able to take away titles from him was Yoshino back in the day. Okay, one title to Pun, but that was more bot lane diff again. So yeah, Kiaya is rather cracked. 4 titles under his belt at this point too. Wants to go to his 5th, and at this point he's playing the Jax. He hasn't really done all that much in terms of big game impact, but the Jax can actually go onto the Jinx, and no matter what Jinx builds, Jax has his E. That's 1.5 seconds where Jinx can't deal any damage to him.
Kiaya must have one of the highest split win rates in the world. When you think about it, he is not that old a player, and he has won a lot of splits.
Yeah, I think Cardi's actually one ahead of him because he was on the Flash teams, but those
True.
2 players are incredible.
Catch, DNK tries to make something happen, but a good flash from Xin.
Okay, Xin gets out of there. No flash for Xin means he can't really go on top of Slater too easily. Slater, no flash, makes this Baron kind of risky, but Kiaya is far away. Victor is kind of far away.
There's no TP ward as well. He has to TP now. It's in the pit. 3k health on the Baron. They're not going to go for the call to just finish it. Xin does find a hook. Slater's the one to watch. The first kill will go in. Get excited. Speed boost is there. Good laser to zone him out. So it's just the 1 kill for the moment, and you'll trade Xin to stop the Baron.
Oh, but now Stahl is missing his ultimate. I think SBTC should try to force another fight. Stahl is not strong without his ultimate. He's playing for ultimate damage. He's playing for Navori Quick Blade. So without ultimate, he is not that big of a deal.
It's the Quick Blades.
Okay, SBTC is trying to fish for something, trying to find the opening. It's so hard to get past the Victor, but I don't think they can really do anything. So if GAM gets away with just 1 death on their side.
Yeah, and you'll take that, I think. I think GAM navigated that situation really, really nicely. They come out in a good spot. Slater, 3 items. Style, 3 items. These ADCs are absolutely massive. DNK as well. Chad going the Night Harvester. There is no tank Gragas, not in my game. This is all about the burst. He's been throwing barrels left, right, and center. They've been decent, but GAM have been reacting well.
Yeah, the Zhonya's is the big item here for DNK. He used it a bit early in one of the engagements around Dragon, but it can buy so much time, and he can really try to get on top of Kati or even Style. Probably Kati is probably more likely because Style has so many tools to reposition himself. But if he isolates Kati and they get rid of that Victor, of that pesky slow and control with a gravity field, suddenly Slater is unhinged. Slater can just walk them all down and chase.
Unhinged is definitely one way to put it. He is going mental in these games. Sitting at that 4-0 scoreline, SBTC fans are watching him with eagle eyes. Because if he gets any situation where he can just hit in a team fight, it's hard to imagine them losing it. SE, once again, starting up the Baron. This time, Kiaya does not have teleport, so he's got to get on the run.
Yeah, this is on Levi now. Levi needs to get in there, needs to deter the Baron, take 2 pink wards, so that's very good. They can't play it
pulls
easily.
him away, but he doesn't get the angle right. Doesn't matter. Baron is secured. Enper almost certainly dies for this if they choose to chase him, which they do.
Ooh, flash.
Enper flashing over the wall. Kiaya doesn't get in range to stun. Little dash.
No
Can
way.
they find anything? Enper still running away. Does finally go down to Kiaya, but that is fine. You will lose your top laner and maybe even this tower happily for the Baron.
Tower and top lane is a bit much. They need to do something on the back half of the Baron then, because now the gold is almost even from the Baron, only a 500 gold lead from the
They'll have
direct
Baron
take.
to the soul fight.
That is very true. They can contest the soul fight now. They can also try to trade soul for maybe a top inhibitor, because as you pointed out earlier, that's a Kek tech. So not the most value on that soul on the side of GAM either. SBTC really needs to make these next few minutes count.
This is an exciting game your way. GAM currently has control of this bottom side river. We're still quite far away from Dragon, so it's no big deal.
So taking another look at the items, I feel like SBTC's carries are so much stronger right now. Yes, ADC is almost parity, But this Jinx is close to IE, and especially the mid lane difference. If the fight is longer than just a few initial seconds, that Tristana is gonna deal so much more damage than this ultra defensive Victor. One tower for
falls.
SBTC.
Yep, tower has fallen. 30 seconds now on the Drake. SE moving over, trying to get as much vision control as they can. They know where Levi is. He just walked past a ward. They're not going to collapse on him or anything like that, but they need to track him. He's, of course, an extremely major player. They'll get the mid lane shoving as best they can. Kiaya not letting them do it well at all. It's only the bot lane that's really shoving in favor of SE at the moment. We have 10 seconds on the Dragon, and you know it's going to be a bit. In they go! That is an amazing play to get the fight started. So much already having to be burned onto Slater. He can't enter the fight yet. Only thrown a rocket. Down goes Enper. The health bars from Garma. Not ideal. Over the wall is Dia1. DNK surfs on in. Can he find anything? Those Zonya's used. Palette going. Wow, this is fantastic stuff out of Garm. They're just dancing up, but there we go, finally turns around, DNK finds the angle, and Slater gets excited, he pulls his way forward, and let's go SBTC as they clean up 3 from Garm. That will be the Dragon for them, that will be the team fight for them, and SBTC are looking lovely in this game.
But how can GAM be on the verge of winning team fights this far down in items? Incredible display from both teams, honestly, and I'm so hyped already for the rest of the series because I think we
SBTC are just going to try and win the game.
They have 2 ADCs here on the base towers? Can they do it? That's
but you know who's good against the ADCs? It is Kiaya, but the counter-strike's already down, and Slater's just melted him away. SBTC take the lead. They are 2-1 up against the undefeated GAM.
They did it. They won game